I'm Vinny Politan. Are you ready for the next huge trial here on Court TV? It all begins April 1st in Boise, Idaho. Chad Daybell, the so-called Doomsday Prophet. He's got a brand new mugshot tonight. Let's take a look at it. There it is. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at this mugshot, and I've seen the pictures of his wife, Lori, and you know what? Lori looks a lot happier behind bars than Chad does. He's getting old. He looks like he wants to get out. His eyes are tired. His wife is smiling. She couldn't be happier being a convicted murderer. It's unreal. But to me, this speaks volumes, and it tells me what this trial is going to be like. It's going to be way different. He's going to fight. Lori just sat down and took it. He's going to fight. And that fight, I think, is going to be pointing the finger, you know where, at Lori and her crazy brother, Alex. Here's Chad with Tammy. This is his real wife. I mean, this is the woman that he created a life with. This is a woman who gave him the best years of her life. Together, they created 5 children. This is his real wife. But she's dead, and he's charged with her murder. Now, what I want to do is go through a little timeline with you tonight to give a little context and perspective as we prepare for Chad Daybell's trial. And let's begin on March 9th, 1990. Chad and Tammy get married. And they're, I believe, happily married until her death in 2019. I mean, there was no indication from anywhere, especially from Tammy. Like, here they are as this young couple. Look at this. They look a little different. Look at Chad. They're in love. You know, a nice, clean, simple life. Not millionaires. We're not celebrities. We're just folks who practice our religion, raise our kids, work hard, and you know, have a nice life out in Utah, Idaho. Didn't end that way. All right, let's spring forward to October of 2018. While at a spiritual conference, Chad and Lori first meet. Okay? So this is the first time that these two meet, which is in 2018. We have some description of what was going on when they first met. Now, of course, he's married, she's married when they first meet. Here's Melanie Gibb testifying and talking about when Chad met Lori.
They were very friendly to each other, very interactive, talking a lot about some of their ideas and beliefs that they had at that time. And so they were, there was definitely attraction in the beginning, right from the beginning. So,
did Lori ever indicate to you whether or not she and Chad were engaged in an affair?
She would just share that they were intimate.
Did Lori indicate whether or not she thought it was okay that they were engaging in intimate relations?
She did. She felt it was according to God's will.
And did she tell you ever expand on why she believed it was according to God's will?
Yes. She explained that because they had been married in multiple lives and they had a mission together, that it was okay.
Okay, that's how you explain the affair that was taking place. Now, Chad Daybell, we call him the Doomsday Prophet. He had a gift where he could see things and he knew things that were going to happen. Here's what he told a neighbor about Tammy.
Do you recall a time in approximately February of 2019 when Chad came to your residence?
Yes.
And do you recall him making any kind of a statement that stuck out to you?
Yes, he made the statement as he was leaving that he says, I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but Tammy is, I've seen a vision that Tammy's going to die and move on before her 50th birthday.
He was right. Does he have a gift? Does he have a gift, or is he a killer? Now, let's go to October 19th, 2019, okay? 2019. This is the day that Tammy Daybell passes away. Now, she was buried pretty quickly. The original medical examiner, natural causes. But then her body was exhumed, and the medical examiner who performed the second autopsy had this to say about the death of Tammy Daybell.
And in conducting the autopsy on Tammy Daybell, did you in fact reach a conclusion as to the cause and manner of death?
Yes, we did.
And what were those?
We determined her cause of death to be the result of asphyxia, and her manner of death to be homicide.
Game changer there. Now, let's move forward 3 days after the death of Tammy Daybell. It's October 22nd, 2019. Family and friends attend her funeral. We have a photo I want to show you relative to this day, and that is Chad and Tammy's daughter, and that's got to be difficult on a child, especially when your mother's so young and your mother's, preparing to run a marathon and is in good shape, and then all of a sudden she just dies. Here's again the neighbor talking about how Chad Daybell was acting at the funeral afterwards.
Did you make any observations of Chad at the funeral?
He actually seemed pretty up-minded. We was around the casket and looked at and seen Tammy in the casket and that, and around the family, and he didn't seem real sad, I thought. For some, your wife had just passed away 3 days earlier, and he seemed like he could handle everything okay. And then in the funeral, when he spoke, which personally I thought was odd too, because mostly people don't do that when their wife dies or spouse dies. And he did show some emotions, and he spoke for quite some time, I remember. And so, yeah, he did. I would say for your wife just dying, he did a pretty good job. So.
And when you say for his wife just dying, he did a pretty good job, would you have expected him to be more emotional?
Yes, I would.
Now, we all grieve differently, and I could line up, probably 50 to 100 defense attorneys I've heard say in a courtroom, we all grieve differently when their client is like a spouse and is accused of the murder and kind of acts that way. But this grieving took on a whole different phase just a few days after the funeral. Take a listen.
Did you make any observations of their interactions with each other?
Yes, probably the biggest thing I noticed was that they were, to me, it seemed like they were acting like a couple of teenagers that were first in love. And they were holding hands and sitting real close to each other. And Chad was rubbing her leg, and I just thought that was odd for your spouse just passed within a week and a half.
Within a week and a half, he's visiting neighbors with Lori and being all touchy-feely. Unbelievable, right? This is what the evidence is going to lay out against Chad Daybell. Let's move forward now just a few more days to November 5th of 2019. Chad and Lori get married in Hawaii. Wow, that didn't take long. Now, looks like they had a professional photographer, some nice outfits. It's not cheap, and it's not cheap. Nothing's cheap in Hawaii, by the way. But it seems like Chad had already been prepared for this expense. Take a listen to the testimony of Angela Yancey, who was handling the insurance claim, the life insurance claim. Take a listen.
He came into my office Monday morning after Tammy had died. So she passed away between Saturday and Sunday, and he was there Monday morning.
Was it unusual for a spouse to come in that soon to process a life insurance claim?
In my experience, yes.
What conversation did you have with Mr. Daybell when you provided him with the form on October 21st, 2019?
I explained to him that we could not submit a life claim until we had the original death certificate to go with it. And he said, that's okay. I've already ordered 8 of them.
I've got 8 death certificates. You need one? I got a whole bunch. Who needs one? She's gone. This is bizarre stuff. This is bizarre stuff. But you put 2 and 2 together, sometimes it equals 4. We'll see what the jury does. April 1st, it begins. Let's bring in our special guest, host of the Hidden True Crime podcast. It's also on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel. Former TV reporter has been covering the Daybell case since 2019. Lauren Matthias is with us. Lauren, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What's your take on Chad Daybell's reaction to all of this? You know, the death of his wife, the woman who he raised 5 children with?
Well, I think you nailed it with that timeline. He had a funeral planned, an obit written, a gravestone picked out, all within 3 days, and had her buried in another state. They were in Idaho. They had her buried in Utah within 3 days. That is fast. And I think that goes along with the emotions you see. There weren't a lot of emotions, just as Tom Gilbert said. And then, of course, then we fast forward to Hawaii. It's shocking, actually. It's shocking that he could even do that, even if he was in love and having an affair. To do it that fast is bizarre for anyone.
I'll never forget this when Nate Eaton from East Idaho News was trying to get Lori to talk about her missing children, because that's how the story started, right? It was a missing child case, and it turned into something much, much more and worse than we could ever imagine. What are your thoughts about what's the deal between Chad and Lori? Was it about sex? I mean, like she was sending him dancing videos, and I know he had to be smitten with this blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman who seemed to be somehow infatuated with the author, Chad Daybell.
Was sex involved? Absolutely. It was a motive. Was money a motive? Absolutely. But I think what we're going to see at this trial, Vinny, is I think we're going to see the belief system, the motive behind this belief system that Chad Daybell created. And I think that's why this upcoming trial is going to be so shocking, is the evidence that they show, that Chad Daybell creates this scale of light and dark, or evil versus good, and that Lori is asking him who are zombies and who is inhabited by evil spirits. Is sex and money, sure, absolutely. But there is also at the core of this case a belief system created by Chad Daybell himself.
Okay, so does he believe in the belief system, or is the belief system a means to an end, right? Like, I've seen some of these little clips of when he goes to these little conferences and like he's surrounded by women. I mean, Chad Daybell, the grave digger with eyebrows in the middle of his head, has never been surrounded by women before.
You nailed it. You just asked the question, Vinny, that I've been asking for over 4 years. Did Chad Daybell really believe this, or was he making it up? And I think where I am right now, and I'm willing to have it change during this trial. Trust me, I'm willing to shift my opinion. But right now where I am is, I think that Chad Daybell started out lying. He knew it was all BS, but then he started to believe his own lies. So he started to believe in what he was spouting. That's where I am now. We'll see where I am at the end of this trial.
Now, at the end of her trial, it was clear that Lori Daybell is in some fantasy land somewhere. I don't get it. She understands what she did. She's conniving enough. But do you believe that she believed what Chad was saying? Or was it a physical thing? Was it a power thing where, like, this guy has people following him, so if I hook up with him, then, you know, I'm part of this power couple? What was it that drew her to him?
I believe that she believed it. I sat through every day of that trial and saw all of the evidence, have read all the evidence. I believe that she truly believed it. What did she see in him? A prophet, a visionary, someone that is telling Lori she's a goddess, that she's going to lead the 144,000 in these last days before the second coming of the Savior, someone that sees Lori's grand importance and sees his own. That's what she saw in him. She saw in him a prophet. She saw power. You know, did she see lust? To be determined, because you gave a great description of him, but she certainly saw power.
How about the death of Tammy? With the kids, I'm convinced it's Alex Cox, that it's him, that he's the one, and I think Lori may actually have been there. But with Tammy Daybell, what is out there? Is there anything that would give Alex Cox the opportunity to be in the house to commit that murder as well? Or do you think it has to be, based on the prosecution theory, the hands of Chad Daybell himself?
We do have some very interesting evidence. Of course, you know, Lori was out of town. That was a wise move on her part. She was in Hawaii when Tammy Daybell died, so she's out of the picture. But Alex Cox's phone pinged. We have the data that it pinged in a church parking lot that was about a mile from Chad Daybell's house the evening that Tammy Daybell was killed. So we don't know what other pings they have. We know that Chad Daybell was the one that called 911, but those two are the ones that we're looking at, that there is evidence that Alex could have been there or supervising Chad. But of course, Chad, we know, was in the home calling 911, and that there's evidence he also moved her body and had his son, his son and Tammy's own son help move the body. So that's going to be a really difficult one for the defense to defend.
And let me ask you about this, the relationship between Chad and Alex, Lori's brother, because he has a history, right? He shot and killed one of Lori's husbands. The other husband died of natural causes, allegedly. But we know Alex Cox went to jail for assaulting him with a stun gun. So my take is that Alex has a thing for Lori. So was there any jealousy by Alex of Chad and his relationship with his sister?
It's a great question. I think you're right. Alex, for whatever reason, Alex really wanted to protect Lori and was willing to do whatever Lori wanted. You know, there was one moment in the preliminary hearing years ago, and I'll never forget, Chad Daybell had a preliminary hearing where his defense, John Pryor, kind of alluded to this odd relationship. I wouldn't be surprised if this relationship comes forward because I'm pretty confident Chad Daybell's likely going to throw Lori under the bus a little bit more than she did him. And it will be really interesting to see if they bring up an inappropriate relationship with Alex and Lori. I can't say that they're going to, but I'll never forget what John Pryor alluded to in that preliminary hearing. And I think it's going to be a big part of this trial, if I can speculate.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you got to really fasten your seatbelts for this one. It all starts April 1st.